Alright. Should be live. Should be live. I had to make so many last minute, like, alterations and changes. I was almost positive I was not going to make it by 6 p.m. Pacific time. But alas, here I am. And it is 6 p.m. Pacific time, so I am very thankful for that. Yes, very, very happy, very excited for the show today, of course. It's going to be a good time. Zeal PC will be joining me a little bit later after our news doc and sponsor spot as usual. So, until then, I'm just going to sing the song of my people. Just kidding. But, yeah, so news doc today is pretty light on the news, but that's okay, because sometimes weeks are just like that. Is it 1 hour late or DST thing? Wait. What? Oh, daylight savings time? Oh, yeah, that did just happen, so that's, yeah, that's probably why. I always forget that, like, not everyone in the world does that. I'm not even sure why we do it, honestly. Luder Sama, thank you so much for the 7 months in a row with the tier 1 sub. Heck yeah. So while people kind of roll in here, I'll wait just another moment or so before we actually get into the show. But, yeah, I hope you guys are all doing super well today. I know I'm doing well, aside from being ridiculously rushed. Brian on the left feels right. It felt weird last week being on the right. With no other co-host. So, yeah, I was hoping to have the one-man layout for this particular part of the show by today, but I did not actually get it done. So, I'm working with what I got. Hopefully by next week I'll have a one-man layout, so this part of the show, the intro and whatnot, will be a little bit cleaner. But, the show must go on, guys. Must go on. Top Clack is always riddled with, technical difficulties and setbacks, so we just roll with it. But yeah, I do prefer being on the left now. I think this looks better on stream. So I would do a mail call, but I have got nothing this entire week. I did order a bunch of equipment upgrades from Amazon not too long ago that should start arriving tomorrow. A bunch of stuff for lighting, so hopefully I'll start looking a lot better. Particularly in the build streams, a flexible arm mount for my camera, among other things. So hoping to really up the quality of the build streams in the very near future. Alright. But alas, we'll do the show. Let's see if I get... I try to upload the intro scene too, so let's see if I got this right. Wait, Zeal is permanent host? No. Zeal is not going to be the permanent host. Sorry if that's confusing to anyone. He will be my guest on the show this week, so I will be bringing him on a little bit later after we get through all the normal, news stuff. Big oof on that intro. Yeah, missed a checkpoint. Oh well. Sometimes it just happens. I was, scrambling to add so much stuff to OBS at, 5:59. And, that's just the way it is, sadly. Anyways, thank you all for joining me here today on this week's episode of Top Clack. I am your host, Quakeums, and we're going to be talking about some news today. Some news, some discussion points. Of course, later on, I'll be bringing on Zeal PC himself, the big man behind the Zealeos project. And then we'll have a good time. We'll finish off with a Q&A like we always do. So that'll happen, and that'll be good. Hope you are all doing super well today. What happened to Huey? Huey is no longer part of Top Clack. He decided to part ways with us towards the end of last month, and he's following his own thing, and I totally understand and respect that. But I will not let Top Clack die. That is not what I'm doing here. Anyways. Like I already said, I don't really have a mail call, unfortunately, so there's not a whole lot to talk about there. Hopefully next week I'll have a bunch of new stuff I can talk about, though, and that's going to be really, really awesome. So for now, I think we're just going to transition over to the news and get things started. It's been about 5 minutes already, so should have some people in here by now. Let's go over some news, guys. It's gonna be fun. There are a few topics, but there are a couple pretty interesting topics. So just keep that in mind. All right, let me make sure I got all this stuff right, which I probably didn't. Here we go. I'm gonna make sure to share links in chat now, guys. Oh crap! I forgot to switch myself to the left on this viewer. Ah, always something. Always something. Teha Types, Nathan Kim, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. God, I can't believe I forgot to move my camera over on this one. Man, I am just full of fail today. But that is what it is. So anyways, here is our first news topic today, and actually our only key set topic that I could find. But this is DSA Anaglyph, done by Novel Keys, MG Sickler of Novel Keys, of course. And I read through this thread a few times, and I still don't really understand like the purpose of this set, if I'm being totally honest. Smallwin, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that, my friend. So, says, I had this idea to do an Anaglyph Key Cap Set because of a misprint on one of my mouse pads, which I think is this picture. If you notice, it's kind of printed multiple times. So it's a little off-center. Kind of interesting. Design got printed 3 times or so. It instantly reminded me of the blue-red 3D glasses. Bam. So here's a rough idea of what the keycaps will look like. I think this looks ridiculous with huge alpha legends and much more normal mod legends. One thing I'm kind of surprised here is how we don't have a slightly more appropriate render. Usually Mike is pretty good about that kind of stuff, so yeah, a little confused about that, but I'm interested to see what kind of concept is supposed to be happening here. Like, do you wear... On paper and on the screen, the design works pretty well with 3D glasses. Are you supposed to wear 3D glasses when you're typing on these keycaps? Is that the interest here? So I'm very confused on this. Hoping we get some more information on this, because to me it makes like no sense. But it's not the first time I haven't understood something. Stroke even. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is I have like no words to say about this. Anyways, this is his proposed kit for this, so pretty minimal compatibility, but it does cover a lot of more standard things as well as the ISO. It will be Signature Plastics DSA dye sub, which presumably means it'll be PBT, obviously, because it's going to be dye sub. Color code WFJ, proposed kit is actually just the same picture here, so I'm not going to open it. MOQ is going to be 100 sets. And it's got a little to-do list here as well. So I want to see a better render of this, and I'm curious what the idea is. Because I don't want to have to wear 3D glasses to type on my keycaps. Alright, moving on is something I should have actually covered last week, but I didn't because I'm bad. And I kind of just missed it, unfortunately. But we did talk about this IC a couple weeks back. It's already in group buy now as of a week ago, and to my knowledge, I don't think they've met the MOQ yet. So, maybe this can help out your decision one way or the other, depending on how you feel about this. So this is the aanzee, which I am assuming is supposed to be pronounced aanzee, but that's just my guess. He's got a link to some renders here. And the renders actually look pretty darn good. I really like this weight design. It's going to be a sandwich mount by the look of it. I don't think, is it gasket? I don't believe it's a gasket mount board, but nice little sandwich mount board there with a little name tag. I'm assuming that's what that's going to be. Yeah, pretty nice looking board. He's got a list of colors that I think I really enjoyed last time. Charcoal, Aubergine, Olivia, which I'm really hoping is rose gold, Ocean, Royal Green, Anthracite, and he also added Tuscany Yellow, which is pretty interesting. He's got a list of the colors here too. I think these are actual color samples, colored chips, physical color chips. So pretty interesting stuff. Oh, that Ocean is crazy. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, Aubergine is kind of like, isn't it supposed to be kind of like a red? I'm colorblind, so when I look at this kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't know. That's where I need you guys to help me out. Sweaty Eddie, thank you so much for the bits. Appreciate that, my friend. Eggplant purple. So wait, that's right? Yeah. So that's the Olivia. Very nice. All right, so we have a 5-degree typing angle, 7 and 9 millimeter sloped, high profile, sandwich mount. The brass weights are numbered and sandblasted. Love that. Love sandblasted brass. Much more than like the mirror polish that we've been seeing more of lately. Choice of 7 colors for aluminum parts, CNC machine, 19 millimeter height at the front of the board, which, if you remember when we talked about the IC, one of my big complaints, at least looking at the physical prototype, was how freaking enormous it was. It was so tall. I believe that prototype was 24 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me on that, though, if I am. And he has reduced that down to 19 millimeters. So, pretty happy to see that. Hopefully that'll make it a little bit more of a reasonable angle. Reasonable height, so you don't have to, break your wrists when you type. I want to see the new prototype, if there's going to be a new prototype with that height. So anyways, the pricing is going to be about $440 US for the kit. This includes everything you need except for switches and keycaps, and I'm assuming cable too. He's probably not including a cable. $75 for additional plate, $45 for additional PCB, $25 additional dollars for a nameplate. Additional nameplate, sorry. Yeah, actually looks pretty good. I like the design. I like the slope. So one thing I commented on originally was how expensive the additional plates were, because I think I even said something like it was the most expensive add-on plate I've ever seen in a group buy, because I'm pretty sure it is. But he corrected me a little bit and said it's because the plates are not actually flat. They're curved to go along with the design of the board. So that does take more machine time, thus it's a more expensive plate. And so that is that. That's just all part of the design. So pretty cool stuff here. I do like the way the board looks. And I'm always a sucker for stuff like nameplates. Oof, Nebulit, thank you so much for all the cheer, all the robot cheer, as well as Mr. Petrov. Thank you so much for all those bits. Hello all. Alright, whoops. Alright. Let's see. Moving on. We got another 65%. That's pretty darn interesting, if I do say so myself. This is the Space 65 custom 65% mechanical keyboard. And this one is kind of interesting. So this is done by Gray Studio, aka Air Potter. And he's got some very interesting renders here. I believe he actually has a physical prototype too, judging by some of the later pictures. But here's what is presumably a render. Looks kind of like a smartphone, honestly. Just kind of interesting. Very interesting design. So I believe this is a physical prototype here. got some pictures to show off of that. Very interesting looking bottom. I like the I really like the text actually on the bottom of this. Still just reminds me of a cell phone though. Carbon fiber plates, and here we actually get into some real pics of the completed board. So pretty interesting stuff. What do you guys think of this? Is it flat? No, it actually has a I'll go up to the specs in a second, but it has a 5-degree angle if I read it right. He's got a lot of pics in here, man. So yeah, I mean I'm almost positive this is not a render. This looks like a physical sample. So he actually has physical samples here for the IC, which I always like to see. And yeah, oof, those are some red caps. Holy crap! Pretty nice though. That's so many pics. All right, so it's kind of has a little inspiration from the Apple II computer and the Voyager 1. Voyager 1. All right. Give me the specs. Where are the specs? I swear there are specs at some point. Here we go. All right, so anodized 6061 aluminum. Plate will be carbon fiber, and I'm assuming you don't have any other choice. It looks like that's the only thing he's going with here. But, you know, it is what it is. 5-degree angle. PCB will be boot mapper programmable. There'll be 2 RGB light bars, and the switch LED position is south, which I am happy to see. I mean, it's kind of a side note. I've been getting really angry lately at north-facing LED PCBs, especially in more quiet builds or with lube linears, because you can really hear that tap on row 2 when you hit the housing with cherry profile keycaps. And it just drives me nuts, man. It drives me nuts. So happy to see south-facing here. Hoping that's going to become more of a standard going forward on PCBs. But yeah, I see for this going on right now. Make sure to comment on that. Oh, of course I said I was going to link topics in chat, but I still haven't yet. That is totally me. All right, there you go. There's the Space 65. All right, the next piece of news is seemingly interesting, but honestly, I don't think it's as interesting as other people are making it out to be. But we'll see. We'll see. So the HHKB and Realforce keyboards are going to be officially launched in the U.S. by Fujitsu Computer Products of America. So their American branch is now going to be directly selling within the U.S. HHKBs and Realforces, and you know that's pretty cool, right? Like that's pretty cool. But you know, there's a lot of text here. I read through this earlier, and really, there's not a whole lot of information that's really worth it. A couple things to note is that they will launch at prices that are kind of high, is what I'm going to say. The normal HHKB Pro 2 is going to retail for $241 US, while the Type S will be $322. That's the stock silent one that has adjusted sliders and some dampening material. And then the Realforce R2, so this is not the more traditional Realforce, this is the newer Round 2 version, is going to retail for $258, while they will have a limited edition that retails for $348. Realforce R2 RGB models will come early 2019. So, the reason I was like, why is this so important? Because I'd go over to Amazon, be like, I don't know, I want an HHKB. Look, $205 for a dark gray HHKB. Here's $218 for a white one. Type S, $290. I don't understand why like this is supposed to be such a big deal. I really just don't, because you've always been able to find HHKBs and Realforces in the US from sellers like Amazon, or from distributors like Amazon. for much cheaper. I mean, you can go on, if you don't care about used stuff, you can go on, eBay or r/mech market or other, aftermarket keyboard outlets and purchase an HHKB for as low as like $160. I've bought one at $150 even. I don't really understand why this is supposed to be such a big deal, but maybe someone else can actually fill me in on why this could be really big. What do you guys think about this? Is this hot news? Is this really cool stuff? Or are these prices kind of dragging you down like they are with me? Warranty? Okay, maybe they have some kind of different warranty. Price increase disguised as an announcement sounds like something my ex-wife would do. Nice. Our Realforces are typically out of stock? Okay. I actually wasn't aware of that. Alright. So, yeah. Got to order from Superbuy for the real HHKB experience? Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, oops. I meant to share that link. I gotta get in the habit of sharing these links, guys. Freaking, I'm terrible at this. Someone actually beat me to it. Sorry. Oh boy. I mean, all the news topics will of course be in the video description of the YouTube VOD after the VOD is uploaded, and I've been keeping the website up to date with the news topics as well. So all the news topics that you see will also be linked on topclack.com under the weekly news section. All right, so the next topic here is going to be kind of an interesting one, and this kind of, I guess I didn't like hit home, but I remember when I joined the community, one thing, I'm gonna link this before I even forget. There you go, guys, I'm getting better already. All right, so one thing that was really big when I joined the community was the Windkeyless.kr keyboards. So things like the the original B face, the B Mini, B87. So Windkeyless.kr focused on using a laser acrylic to make layered keyboards that were incredibly popular. And of course, he sold his own version of a PCB with it too, and that was like the keyboard to own in like 2014, 2015 when I was getting into the hobby. Like, if you were cool, you had a B face. Like, that was like the shit. And it's kind of interesting, but they're closing up shop now apparently, which is kind of strange. But I can kind of see why. It's kind of a more dated product at this point, and so many other people are doing comparable things for way cheaper amounts of money. So that's probably why his message says, "Now I have to say bye to you. Recently, this business has not gone well as I expected, as so many custom MKB makers who are copying my keyboards and providing them at lower prices appear. I couldn't maintain this business anymore. So I've decided to close shop Windkeyless." So this is kind of the end of an era, I guess you could say, on that. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. That's what happens when you're not able to compete anymore. That's just how it goes. And that's pretty much what's happening here, because to be fair, his prices were kind of high on a lot of things, particularly if you wanted a fully assembled PCB. Like a fully assembled, meaning all the SMD components are soldered, 60% B-face PCB was like $100 or more. It was absolutely outrageous. But yeah, so a lot of you people that are newer to the community are probably unfamiliar with what Windkeyless.kr is, but just an older Korean custom in the sense of he does it out of Korea and it's a custom, not necessarily that it's like a duck board or a TX keyboard or something. It was pretty much exclusively lasered acrylic sandwich boards. I think he had a tray option as well. But yeah, it's something you still see more of today at way cheaper prices. Like, I mean, you could go to Taobao and order something very comparable for a very small fraction of the price that you could originally get win keyless stuff. But I mean, this guy was doing it like before anyone else, basically. So it's kind of sad to see him go, but unfortunately, that's kind of just how things work. It is certainly unfortunate, though. All right, the next topic is going to be an interest check for titanium plates, a material we haven't seen a whole lot of, ever really in keyboards. I think I've seen one or two at any point. But yeah, interest check for titanium plates. This is by Peter's Pan 01. It says, we are the DGX team, a mechanical keyboard maker from Vietnam. This is our latest project, the titanium GR2 plate. So he's got a few pictures here, not very good ones, unfortunately, but some pictures of what is pretty obviously a 60% tray mount plate, possibly with extra screw. That seems like a weird place to have a screw hole, but he's got all the other mounting ones by the looks of it. And excuse me, guys, I think I'm getting sick again. So, a couple things to note. He says it is more flexible than aluminum or brass, which is actually interesting to me. I always thought titanium was much harder. But I guess I am wrong. Fockbot, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that, my friend. So, yeah. Titanium plates, guys. Is titanium a material that you guys want to actually see on the market? Do you think we'll see more of it? This is a pretty interesting picture, actually, because he says, by using different voltages, a wide range of unique colors can be produced. For example, you can do a rainbow logo like this. So that's actually pretty cool, honestly. You could choose any logo. Strong and durable, of course. I'm curious if this is going to be like just a 60% tray mount option, or if this is going to wind up being something more like Laser Boost, where they offer a service to cut several different materials for you, provided that you give them the files, and they can make, let's say, a custom titanium plate for your, I don't know, your Duck Viper, or your TX60, or your Skog, or something, you know, something custom. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. Hopefully this picks up a little bit of momentum and we get more of an answer there. Ceramic tile plate too? Really? That could be kind of cool. Chris says they will machine any plate file supplied as well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now we're approaching this more like a service like Laser Boost, who has been more recently establishing themselves in the community. Don't we want more weight, not less? I don't know. Some people like really heavy stuff. He said they are around $60 for a 60%. That's not terrible. That's definitely not terrible. I should probably try to buy one of these actually and try it out. Alright, so yes, titanium plate, guys. Titanium could be the future. Future. Alright, next topic we have is the final post for the Bay Area Mechanical Keyboard Meetup by my former co-host, A Man of Interest. This is it, guys. This is happening. It's this weekend, this Saturday. Mosaic, there's the address. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be huge. There's going to be a ridiculous amount of people there. I'm going to guess there's going to be at least 400, if not at least 500. There's tons of sponsors. There's going to be tons of giveaway stuff. This is something that you guys are going to definitely be hyped for it because it's going to be a ridiculous experience. I've gone to a couple of the NorCal meetups already, and they've been so much fun. So, yeah, I'm a little sad I can't make this one, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Gio, you're going to be at the airport in 6 hours? Yep. People are flying out from this. Like, oh, Blotsky is coming out for this. He's from Germany. Several Canadians flying out for it. It's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be really, really cool, guys. So hopefully you guys that are going to this will have a ton of fun. And, have a good time, man. Keyboards bringing people together. I think this is going to be kind of one of the meetups that's going to start pushing keyboard meetups into more like keyboard conventions. I think there's going to be a lot of like vendors per se that are going to be there, just setting up like little booths, showing things off. I should feel bad, but I always feel bad, man. Just kidding, I don't. There's a link for that. Didn't forget. Anyways, next topic on the list, guys. We got a pretty nice update, is what I'd call it, from Switchmod.net. You may have remembered not too long ago he did kind of a pre-order for Cat Wee Wee springs, springs that were designed in part with Cat Wee Wee, who's a member of the community. And the idea here was to get an alternative to Sprit springs, like still a high-quality spring that'll give you some options on weight for people that didn't want to use Sprit products, because Sprit has had kind of a tiled past. Some people think he's a scammer. Some people, claim he's a scammer. Whether he is or is not is, people will debate it to the ends of the earth. But, by and large, a lot of people don't want to support some of the things he's done in the past because of his behavior. So those springs by Switchmod keyboards and Cat Wee Wee were kind of the alternative to that. So anyways, if you maybe haven't heard, or maybe you were part of that order, 3 of the weights were actually incredibly off. So the 55 gram, 62 gram, and 68 gram were all inaccurate and weighed in at 10 to 12 grams less than their stated weight. That is huge. That is absolutely monumental. So, it's basically labeled as defective, right? Because, you buy a 68 gram spring thinking that's what you're going to get, but instead you get, a 56 gram spring or something. So pretty unfortunate, but thankfully, Krellbit is trying to do right here, and what he is doing is offering people replacements for the cost of shipping on the new and tested weights that will actually, hit the store, and everyone will actually get what they want. So he says he can't really give anyone a full refund, but he is offering 40% of refunds on your order. But if you were someone that purchased one of those weights or all of those weights and you want the new replacements, all you gotta do is pay for shipping costs, which is it sucks because it's not like a full solution here, but it's a lot better than nothing. So just being able to pay for shipping costs and getting that definitely helps out a little bit. Mountain Blocks, 500-bit donation. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. Yeah, so definitely, not a 100% ideal solution, but, he's doing what he can, and I think this is probably, one of the next best things aside from being able to give everyone exactly what they want on the first time. So, it is what it is. He's got a few stipulations here, but they're all pretty reasonable, honestly. You can't switch different weights based on, what it is. If you got 68 gram and you want 68 gram replaced, you can't swap that to another weight. You have to get your 68 gram replaced. Shipping is not too bad. It's, a little over $3 if you're in the U.S. And, of course, it's a little bit more expensive with international stuff. But, yeah. And he also does issue an apology, too, so... it sucks what happened, but, this kind of shit does happen, unfortunately. It's just kind of the way it is. Polyzoo, thank you so much for the bits, my friend. But, yeah, that is what it is. So, anyways, that is actually it for our news doc. I searched around forever, couldn't find, anything. But one thing I do want to do before we bring on Big Daddy Zeal himself is the Alps patch giveaway. So if you guys remember on the last episode, I opened up a little bit of a giveaway where people could enter for the Alps patch. I think I have one somewhere around here. Here we go. Yeah, you entered to win a free one of these. Pretty nice little Alps patch. It's iron-on, courtesy of Jay Godinez 302. Very nice guy. And so I'm actually going to... Sorry guys, 1 second. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to RNG it right now because I was going to do it before the show, but then I totally forgot. So I'm going to go ahead and RNG. So let me bring up a little random number generator here. It's like only 49 people entered, so pretty good odds of winning, 1 in 49. Go ahead and generate a number. All right, that number is 10. Who is number 10? That is Neurowinter. So, Neurowinter, I will be PMing you on Discord after the stream to get some shipping info from you. But congrats, you just won a cool little Alps patch. Hopefully you enjoy it. I like his Jay Godinez's stuff. He does a lot of cool things. I got some of his stuff on my backpack that I take to meetups and stuff. Really good quality stuff. I like him a lot. So, congrats on that. All right. Of course, speaking of congrats to all of you for being awesome. That's definitely something that that shouldn't be understated, and I'm very appreciative of all of you guys that tune into the weekly shows, and just hang out with people in Discord and all the cool stuff that you guys do. But actually, I'm gonna go back to the news viewer for this. So, we do have some amazing sponsors, as you probably know. Starting off with Kono.store. I'll put some links in the description here. Neurowinto, thank you for the bits, man. So Kono.store, Input Club, one of our awesome sponsors. They got a couple of cool things going on right now as always. They have the Ergo Docks, Hot Docks, which is the hot swappable 76 key Ergo Docks option that's in group buy right now. They got the Gemini Dawn and Dusk ICs going on right now, which is kind of an interesting and very much more or less expensive K-type alternative. Got the group buy for the Skog Light going on, and of course they have interest checks going on for the Curious 60 and GMK Shoko. So yes, make sure to check them out. Next up, we got Novel Keys, proprietor of a lot of the new cool Kale switches that have been out for a little while now. They got all the retooled ones in stock now. All of them are actually finally updated. It's got wood grain desk mats and desk mats for other key sets and stuff, like Serica going on right now. I think oh no, he doesn't have any GMK Olivia extras. My apologies. I was going to say he did, but he does sold out really quickly. But yeah. Great place to buy switches and other things of the like. Make sure while you're there you use promo code TOPCLACK, and that'll get you 5% off your entire order. So, heck yes. Next, we got Z Frontier. Once the site loads, that's doing a lot of cool things right now. I believe they're ZF71, which I actually have. Well, I have the caps off here, but I'm doing a review of this, so I've been kind of breaking it down and tearing it apart. Yeah, the ZF71 is still open. Which is open. I think it's open still past its close date, which is kind of interesting. Right? Yeah, you can still order this even though it was supposed to end on the 2nd. So still accepting orders, which is pretty cool. I should have a review out soon for this product. Overall, it has some pros and cons, but it's not a bad keyboard. It's a little expensive for what it is, but it's not a bad starter board for sure. But I'll have a review out of that pretty soon, thankfully. Of course, they have other things going on. They got the Aurora 96, and they do, pretty much every key set group by proxy under the sun. So, if you want to run a key set group by and you need an Asian proxy, Z Frontier, definitely the place to be. And last but not least, we got ZealPC.net, aka Zeal Generation. I don't know why that name just makes me so happy to say. So of course, like we've been talking about lately, he's got a lot of updated switches, all the new V2 Zeal stuff. He's got the Helios, which are the silent linear with that orange stem. He's got the Xylants, the new V2 Xylants, and he's got the new V2 Zealeos, which I'm actually using right now. Really, really enjoy them. Quite good stuff, IMO. And of course, he's got the new Rev 4 Zeal 60 RGB PCB, as well as some other things. And I'm working on getting you guys a promo code, so hopefully that'll happen in the near future. And if you really like me, what you can do is you can use, there we go, you can use zealpc.net/topclack. That'll give me a kickback for products that you purchase. It's an affiliate link. It's exactly what it is. So make sure you check that out if you're going to be ordering and you like TopClack, you want to support TopClack. Make sure you order through that link. That'll give me a small kickback to help me out with cool things. So, without further ado, now it's time to bring on the big man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm gonna transition over real quick. Hopefully, I can get this right. All right, we're getting closer. Oh, come on. Come on, Skype. Come on, Skype. I believe in you. Oh, perfect. Okay. It took a while, but I believe in Skype. Hold on, wait, let me make sure I got this right. Bam, there's that. Let me oof. Forgot about that text. Alright, bam. So, we are joined, of course, by none other than Zeal PC himself. How are you doing today, sir? I am stressed, but fantastic. which is an interesting combination to be, but that's the way it is. So, you've been on TopClack before, but it's been a little bit of time. So, for people that somehow have been living under a rock and might not know who you are, can you give us a little bit of explanation on who you are and a little bit of a backstory? No sound? Okay, sorry. There we go.
Oh.
Oof. Oof.
Well, I'm Henry, founder, owner of Zeal PC, and, Zeal Generation now. But started off with a keyboard business by making custom USB cables, then branched off to keycaps, GMK keycaps, and eventually custom switches because I didn't have any switches I liked. So yeah, and expanded from there: linears, silence, tactiles, etc.
Okay. So like a lot of people, you just weren't getting what you wanted, and you decided to do it for yourself. And now you're one of the biggest Switch suppliers in the enthusiast community. So pretty big jump there.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk us through something I think a lot of people are curious about, all the V2 Zeal products? You've done some pretty serious alterations to pretty much all of your Switches. Can you explain why you decided to go that route?
Well, I always try and have some kind of new refresh every month, or sorry, every year, and it was just about time to bring something fresh and new to community because people want their tastes change, and gotta adapt to it.
Gotta adapt to it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. So that's actually a really good segue into the normal tactile Zealeos. Why do you think people's tastes actually changed for you enough for you to alter the Switch? What I'm going to say pretty dramatically from the V1 to the V2.
Well, that's very hard to explain because everyone, I guess, when you first start off, you don't have as many options. So I guess at that time, the mechanical keyboard community wasn't as diverse. There weren't so many options to choose from, not that many mods. Everyone was just making ergo clears. But then as time passes, newer switches come out, and you just gotta listen to what customers' feedback are.
All right. So, I mean, I know. So it's no surprise. The Holy Panda has been a really popular Switch in the community lately. It has big rounds, very almost immediate tactility, and a lot of people have been really enjoying that. And I know the Zeal V2 kind of takes a page out of that book and trying to get that particular style of tactility or something very close to it. So, like, is that actually what you were aiming for? Is something kind of like a Holy Panda killer, or were you just after something in particular other than that?
Uh, well, I did take Holy Pandas into consideration, but it's not a Holy Panda replacement. It's another option for customers to pick from. Probably a cheaper option as well, compared to $6 a Switch.
I,
And yeah, because the feel is completely different. The bump is also different. Wobble was also a feedback, so that got improved on greatly as well.
Sweet. Are the Xylent V2s similar in feel to the Zealios V2s? Just quiet?
Yeah, pretty much quieter. I actually got them in today, and I'll be bringing them to NorCal. Might do a build after Top Clack and get ready for the airplane.
Nice. So everyone looking forward to going to the NorCal meetup. Make sure you stop by and punch Zeal in the face, and then try his switches.
Yeah, and pick up some Zeal plant stickers.
Oh my god. I think I still
Printed
have
so
this.
many. Printed so many.
Nathan says Zeal looks so cute. Aw.
Aw.
So loving. Alright, so what about the other projects you have going on? So you have the Rev 4 Zeal 60. What is the big update there between previous versions and the newer version?
Well, it's USB-C now, because again, a lot of customers have been asking for it. And the front face is all going to be like a golden color with the traces that are black, outlined in black. And then on the reverse, it's like the opposite. So it's a black and gold, similar to our Zeal 65 PCB. I'll also be bringing a few of those to NorCal. That shipment just came in yesterday as well, but can't show it yet.
What? You can't even give us a tease? Come on, man.
Nah, gotta be at NorCal.
Feels bad. All right. So actually, I've been a little kind of curious about the Zeal 65. What's the idea of actually making a standalone 65% PCB? Is it going to be usable in products other than the Zephyr?
Yeah, you could put it in LZSQ if you happen to have one, or lucky enough to have one. Uh, TX65 should fit. I haven't done a test fit yet, but people are welcome to do. Exent is a very close fit. Need to shave a bit of the supported USB part. But other than that, more and more boards could work around it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. It's interesting because like 65% doesn't have,
A standard.
a standard. So it's an interesting choice to be able to put out a product like that. So do you have any boards in design that are up and coming now that the Zephyr has been done twice?
I do, but can't talk about it yet.
Come on, man.
Not
you
yet.
gotta give us some kind of teaser on something, some kind of exclusive on anything.
It'll be coming. I may be announcing it around December. I'll say that.
Okay. Top Clack has to get some kind of hint content here. That's just the way it is. All right, so
Okay, I'll mention it. It'll be a bigger form factor than 65%. I can say that.
So TKL then, because I don't see you doing a 75%.
Well, we'll see.
Is it going to be like Zephyr style maybe, or something totally different?
It will be. I can't really say much about that.
I'm really trying to pry this information out. All right. I was hoping you wouldn't be so tight-lipped about things like that, but that is the way it is. Someone says 660. I guess that is bigger. No, that's not really bigger than 65%.
It's 1% bigger, right? 66%.
Yeah, well, no, because on a 66 key layout, you have less keys than you would on a 65%, right? I think. I don't know.
Depends. No, it maybe one or two. I haven't counted.
Zeal is Vern confirmed? What the hell are you guys talking about, Chad? Oh man, you guys are crazy. All right, so what else? What other news can I pry out of you, man? What can you give me that nobody else knows yet?
Um, maybe trying to do a few like mid-tier or upper mid-tier boards in the upcoming future, because where Zephyr is like high tier, higher end, I'll try and drop it by like 100 maybe.
Drop it by 100 maybe. All right.
100, yeah.
All right.
You know,
Make
it more affordable.
I'd like to see more affordable options
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just so people know on the stream right now that even though Zeal is a sponsor, I am totally fine with grilling him about stuff. And I've gotten so many PMs lately asking why the 3204 Trim Assist Lube is $35 on your site. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you why is it so expensive.
I actually got an email regarding that from a caring customer. Let's see if I could pull up that email.
Oh man, are there choice words in it?
So basically, yeah, they were asking how come you could have it. 1 second, let me just pull it up.
Yeah, this wouldn't be Top Clack if you were comfortable about this. Gotta make sure I take you outside of your comfort zone.
All right, so the customer basically said, "Hey, Zio, I noticed that you make high-end stuff, but the tribos, I call it triboses, the triboses is quite a bit more marked up than other sellers, say like Crubit, which sells, I believe, $5 for 2 ml." And pretty much I replied back saying, "Well, lube isn't one of our target markets. It's switches and keyboard accessories. And then just that alone, we don't really purchase large volumes, tubs and tubs of triboses. When we have to import it in, it's couriered in with DHL. And with that, there's import taxes, duties, etc., etc., etc. We also have to have, business stuff, business taxes, payrolls, CPP, employment insurance, all that. Those are hidden costs that consumers don't really see, that has to be factored into our pricing versus, say, if you're running a sole proprietorship or LLC as a part-time job when you're in university, you don't really have all those new overheads, as well as, I guess, you get to operate out of your home. But when you're running a business, you actually have to either rent or mortgage a property, and then pay property tax on that. It's pretty high in Vancouver as well.
Yeah, being in Canada probably doesn't do you many favors for running this kind of business, I imagine.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, Canada's import tax limit is only at $20 Canadian, and that's roughly 15 US dollars versus America with $800 tax-free limit. So
Jesus, that is pretty
brutal,
huge delta. That is brutal. Canada tax is brutal. Yep. All right. Yep. Everyone seems to know it.
Yeah, but you get healthcare in exchange. I think like my monthly bill is like $37 or something like that Canadian.
Wow. I don't have healthcare because I can't afford it. Because
Oof.
Go America. When I get sick, I'm just gonna have to die, I guess.
Oh man.
So it feels bad. Yeah. So when are you moving to the U.S.?
I actually looked into that as well. If you need to,
Really?
well, if you want to operate a business in the U.S., there are two options. One's more for, I guess they're both small business. One's like if you're just operating it within your family or within yourself and friends, less than 4 people. That's one visa, but that you don't get a green card, so you can't get a PR, but you just keep renewing every 5 years. The other ones you actually run like a larger than 4 people business, and that's another one, but you have to bring in, I believe, minimum, like bare minimum 100K US just investing into a business, and you have to do a lot of proposals, legal stuff, and all of it has to make sense to where you want to operate in. So if you go to California, the living expense is a lot higher, then you probably have to bring in like 500K just
Jesus.
to prove to government that you're going to do stuff. Yeah.
Pretty kind of unreasonable, I guess, but that tends to be how the world works. If you were to move to the U.S., where would you move to?
I'm gonna say I like the West Coast weather, and Bellevue was pretty nice when I was there.
Bellevue. All right, that's in Washington for you people in chat.
It is.
That's where I am. Well, not really Bellevue.
But it's also pretty pricey there.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere in the greater Seattle area is kind of ridiculous. Come to Bay Area, says Nathan. So you can cuddle.
NorCal.
Yeah, California is expensive though.
California's it's right, but I'm gonna miss the views because Bellevue's just prettier than California. Sorry to say, Nathan.
Hell yeah, representing the Washington.
Yeah, you've got waters, mountains, fresh air.
That'd be a pretty easy move for you too, because it's only like 3 hours away.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I guess so. Bellevue.
All right, so we can for all you people in chat, we can move on to a Q&A now. I'm sure you guys probably have lots of questions for Zeal. All of his personal info and stuff. Gotta really nail that in. But of course, I gotta ask because I don't even remember last time. Do you prefer pancakes or waffles, and why?
Waffles, man. Answer hasn't changed. Maple syrup just stays on it better. Butter. But then again, I haven't really had great waffles. So, maybe you're going to make me some next time.
I could probably change your mind on pancakes.
All right. I'd be interested in seeing if you can. Because, you just get that crispy, you get a crispy pocket.
I mean, yeah.
That holds the maple syrup and then cream or fruits, whatever you put on it. Blueberries, they fit perfectly in it.
That's true. But you could bake the blueberries into pancakes as well a lot easier.
Yeah, you could, but you could do the same for waffles.
That's true. I don't know, man. I just like going against the grain. All right, tons of questions already rolling in. Fantastic. Texas breakfast, since we're talking about breakfast foods, obviously, is asking, are you worried about when Holy Panda V2s come out?
No, because Holy Panda, well, first of all, if I read the interest check correctly, it's going to be like a linear switch first, and then maybe on future, that person's going to make like a tactile switch out of it. But right now, V2 Sealeos are like a pre-modified factory-made switch, and pretty happy based on the feedback received and what the reviewers have said about the general feel of it. So if a Holy Panda V2 tactile switch does come out, then yeah, go ahead, because without competition, you're never improving.
Yep, well said. Region Asian is asking, what's the plan food-wise for NorCal, Zeal?
I have no clue. So I heard Olivia's gonna go to some fancy schmancy San Francisco.
Really expensive restaurants, courtesy of Olivia?
Yeah, courtesy of Olivia.
That sounds about right.
So I'll be waiting for you. I guess I'll be looking forward to that, Olivia.
Interesting question from Nathan. He asks, what Switch are you most/least proud of so far? Ooh.
Least proud of? I guess not making like Zeal Aristotle a thing. I tried, but I wouldn't release a Switch that I wouldn't use or I don't enjoy. So maybe that's also why I haven't really touched the clicky sides, because I don't really use clicky. I really like my silent keyboards.
Do you think that's ever going to be something in the future that you change your mind about, and just, even if it's not for yourself, you put out a Zeal branded clicky? I
might, but again, the Aristotle design stem would require a brand new assembly line, just because of how the legs click in. If you try and force it down, you just bend the leaves.
Bend the leaf, yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that pretty quick firsthand. Well, what about just doing something that wasn't like a Zeal Aristotle clone or Aristotle stem clone? Maybe something totally different.
I'd have to look into it further, because I haven't really given clickies that much of a chance, you know. I just find it a bit too loud.
Yeah, that's fair. He was also curious what you're most proud of so far in terms of what Switch.
Most proud of? Probably Silence, because the Silent V2s that came in, they're feeling great right now. Yeah, I've always loved tactile switches, and I like silent switches, so why not combine the both?
For sure, for sure. I look forward to getting some of those in. Hopefully they're as good as the Zeal's V2.
Oof.
All right, Mr. Petra is asking, what do you think are the main trends for keyboards and switches in 2019?
Main trends. I think 5mm plates gonna continue, because it sort of started in 2018, but a lot of more keyboards are going to try and do it in 2019.
Yeah.
Trends. Maybe more hot swap, even though I'm sort of in between. I don't quite like hot swap personally, but I know there's tons and tons of other people that say, oh, no hot swap, no Dio. So
it's a big market for it.
Yeah, it is a big market. Yeah, it's easier for, I guess, entry level, ease of convenience, etc. But as well, it's also a durability issue, lifespan issue that you have to factor in.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would say gasket mount is going to become more of a thing too. I think 2019 is going to see several gasket mount boards. Definitely 5mm plates, maybe titanium plates, maybe other materials that we haven't seen yet. There's going to be kind of a new mounting technology, I'm saying, is what I'm going to call it, that's coming out. That someone I've been working on with. I've been giving it advice, basically, but he's working on it. But I can't reveal any of that, but I can tell you it's going to be really cool.
All right.
It should be coming in 2019.
Will it feature anti-stabilizer wire popping technology?
You mean screw-in stabs?
No. I'm
the wire.
The wire. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to ask you how not to do that. Yeah, definitely. I think gasket mount's going to be pretty big. Gasket mount, thick plates, different plate materials. Hot swap, I think, is definitely going to be huge moving forward. Obviously, USB-C, like the middle of this year, that's been huge. Whereas, like in 2017, we had like no USB-C PCBs, and now like a lot of the ones coming out are. So,
well, I think it's partially due to, I guess, phones and laptops moving towards USB-C, so it's just a connector that you're more likely to have around you now. Even though, like, Mini was dead for, like, 10 years plus, but
yeah,
keyboard's still stuck with it, yeah. And Micro is just a horrible connector. Just terrible.
Yeah. Hammer Brother asking, other than Zealios, what are Zeal's favorite MX-style switches? So maybe switches that you don't make, but you actually enjoy.
I only use my own switches. Yeah,
wow.
That's the truth. I don't build many keyboards, not because I don't have lots of keyboards, but every loop job takes like 6 to 10 hours if you want it to feel like every single switch to feel the same. It's a really painful process. So when I do build keyboards, I usually go for the silent Xylens or Telios or upcoming Helios even.
Fair enough. Neurowinter asking us, what was our favorite meal we've had this year? Favorite meal? I mean,
favorite meal.
You eat a lot of crazy good food, all right? Like, if anyone's ever been around in the Discord seeing your food pictures in the Food and Drink channel, they know that you eat fairly well. Are you still doing your diet?
Yeah, I'm still doing keto.
Keto? Okay.
It's working pretty well. So, but probably gonna get destroyed in NorCal because what's the diet? Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to be eating out when you're on keto.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, yeah.
Favorite meal we've had this year, though?
Gonna have to check my archives.
Okay, well, while you do that, I actually know mine. So actually, a couple months ago, I go to this Vietnamese restaurant every
Mm-hmm.
single week, and I have for the last year or so. And they had this kind of like off menu thing that they did that was kind of like a huge cow bone,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Bone marrow.
was
Yeah.
yeah, there's tons of bone marrow in it, and it was in this kind of like it was in its own stock that they alter with cilantro, onion, and this one had dill, and I
Mm.
thought that was you eat it alongside like pho or something, and that's what I was doing, and it was just absolutely incredible. Like I've had bone marrow a couple times now, but that was the best implementation of bone marrow I've ever seen. Like the cilantro, the dill, the onion, like it just worked so well with the bone marrow, and it was like $6,
Dude,
and
wow,
it was
that's like a steal.
yeah, it was absolutely incredible.
That's incredible, really.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So that was the best thing I've eaten this year.
Hmm. I think this year it would have to be. I went to this hot pot place and they had like a wagyu
Oh,
shaved,
oh,
shaved wagyu, and then they had it all plated. So it was like, usually when you have hot pot and you shave the frozen meat, it
yeah,
curls up,
yeah.
but then it was like so fatty that and I guess not, it was half frozen. So when they shaved it, it was just like a perfect ham slice. So it pretty much looked like a ham slice, but just all wagyu. It was like plated with a bunch of seafood. There was multiple plates. They had like lamb, wagyu, ribeye, etc., all shaved, and on the side it was pretty. It was amazing.
I've never experienced true wagyu before. I've had like some American variations, and like they were pretty good, but I've never
Hmm.
had like the real deal, and that's always been something I'm looking forward to. But I'll
Go to
probably have.
Japan, top class Japan trip. All you
Yeah,
can eat wagyu. I
some
I heard there is like a all you can eat wagyu place, like
what?
grill. Yeah, they do.
What?
But I
Oh,
think you're limited to like 90 minutes
oh, I
total.
could do a lot in 90 minutes. Oh man. Oh man, that sounds great. I haven't even eaten yet today. I'm so hungry.
I haven't eaten
That's
either.
that's all I can
Yeah.
think about. All right, Mr. Petrov is asking, what does Henry think are the main themes for cases and switches in 2019?
Cases. Uh, well, what does he mean by cases? What do you think?
Probably like keyboard housings is what I would guess.
Um, I'd say aluminum would still be um still stay. It's not gonna change. Uh, brass, maybe other options to do brass, which I am experimenting with currently instead of raw brass because raw brass tarnishes and then once you get a fingerprint on it, it sort of stays. Um, Polished PVD brass is also a huge fingerprint magnet, and
Yeah.
I guess you get micro scratches. So there are other options I'm experimenting with that I think may become a thing in 2019. Uh, Switches, maybe we'll see more optical. I'm sort of
Really?
hoping for, yeah,
Okay.
maybe,
That would be interesting.
because I do know that a few major players, like OEMs, not well, few big keyboard players, like not enthusiast ones, but the bigger companies, they are venturing into opticals.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, we'll need all new PCBs for this kind of thing, but
Hmm.
could
But
be a
but
change.
if have you felt like a really good optical get around linear? It's super smooth because there's no contact, there's no metal leaf in it.
I have not actually. I've never used one.
It's smoother than Helios.
Well, I mean, without the contact, leave it.
Yeah, without
Yeah,
contact. So it's just like plastic against plastic. There's nothing there.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's epic.
yeah.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. How do you how do you do like non-linear switches that are optical?
You add a fake click. You add a fake leaf in it. So you know
Okay.
how the leaf they have like legs that protrude through.
Yeah.
It sort of just goes through the plastic just enough that it doesn't protrude all the way, and you get
Gotcha.
that tactile leaf. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that'd be cool to see. Apocalypse is. Wait, is that right? Apocalypse. Yeah, asks differently weighted Helios/Telios. So, have you thought about bringing different spring weight options to those two switches?
I have, but with so many SKUs, I'm afraid it's going to like separate the orders too much
Okay.
because there are more popular spring weights than others. And once you start making a bunch of SKUs, and especially for like Telios, the color is pretty much matched to Tiffany blue. So once you divert away from that, it's not really a Tiffany blue switch, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I change colors like a heavier 78 gram, then it'd have to have like a darker color, lighter, then it might look too close to like a 62G Xylem maybe, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, well, color aside, for example, like for the Zealios, do you sell 67 gram more than any other weight? Is that why you decided to go with 67 on the linears?
Currently, yes, 67 gram is the most popular weight.
That makes sense. All right. Polyzoo asking, from a business perspective, do you see yourself staying within a more niche audience, or do you see yourself expanding to appeal to a broader audience?
Well, I guess expanding with to a broader audience would be covering all markets, and at this stage, it's pretty hard to do properly because you bring on too many SKUs, then you've got to stock all those items. Like I'm not Amazon level or I guess other big companies. It's I wouldn't say easier, but it is more strategic currently to focus on your target audience, target market, than trying to appease everyone.
That makes sense. He also follows it up with, what is your current daily driver?
Current daily driver is between Zephyr at one of my office PCs and another Zephyr.
All right,
at
two
my,
Zephyrs.
at my
There you
other
go.
PC, for the DHL printing keyboard, I've got Weavin with 67
Oh,
gram Zealios in it, and I guess when I'm not in front of a computer, I'm on my phone, and so Note 8 as my keyboard.
all right. Melodit asking, have you ever considered selling Zelios with non-transparent housings? It'd be great if we were able to get switches that sound thockier, yet are still Zeal smooth.
See, part of the smoothness from Zealios come from the purity of the plastic. It's a nylon blend, but there's no other additives like fiberglass powder that you find in the milky ones or the black housings, because that's what brings the melting temperature up. So the switches could go through wave soldering and other mass production methods. So to answer that, probably no, unless like an OEM wants to put Zealios, then we have to look into the milky housing or like a SMD compatible one. And also a lot of our PCBs and potentially future designs will rely on the transparent housing for the RGB to diffuse through it.
That makes sense. That's a really good question though, because sound has become monumental in our community over the last like year. It used to be no one really cared that much. It was all about like the feel of this and the quality of this, and now like it's sound, 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 sound. How do these switches sound? You know, how does it sound in this and that and with these parts? And like people go crazy for it now. So that's actually a really good question. I would be interested to
Well,
see an opaque Zeal switch.
what about
Um,
just give it a good lube job?
well, I mean,
Right? Because
lubing does help, but
yeah, lubing
the,
helps a
the
lot.
the sound signature of the nylon blend is definitely different than
Mm-hmm.
something like
Well, it's
a cherry
denser.
switch.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, you can't really get like a transparent, pure plastic to be heavier than something that's got heavier properties in it, heavier material, well, denser properties in it, right? So it's a trade-off, sort of like transparent housing. It's got lower melting temperature. You really can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Texas Breakfast asking, have you considered making switches out of different material? For example, like the cream switches made of palm.
Well, maybe I could experiment with materials or stem, but for the housing, probably won't be changing for the time being.
Yeah, and I mean the stem itself is already made out of palm, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, exactly.
It doesn't really get better than that for switches, as far as I'm aware. Someone says Zeal TKL gasket mounted titanium 5mm plate confirmed with anti-hot swapping switches. Unsolderable. Nice.
Titanium is pretty stiff. Like if you're gonna type on it, it's stiffer than stainless.
See, that's what I was expecting too. But when I was talking about the IC earlier, the team that was working on the titanium plates mentioned that it's more flexible than aluminum and steel.
Yeah, you could bend a titanium plate and it won't really deform at like stainless wood. That's true. Yeah.
I always thought it was like a much more denser, like harder kind of metal.
It's more brittle. Well, it can be brittle if you like drop it, but it's 5mm titanium, man. It's not gonna be as heavy as other metals. It's not. It's like in between. It's a in between aluminum and stainless kind of weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, Yearned is asking, is a slightly less tactile Xylent V1 going to be made? Currently, there's no in between Silent Brown and Xylent in terms of tactility. So talking about the V1 Xylents.
Probably not, because of just the dampener improvements that we've made. So might not be bringing Xylent V1s back. Zealeos, I could if there is demand.
Yeah, I've actually gotten that question a few times. If you're ever going to be doing Zealeos V1 again, because I mean the V1 and the V2 are both good switches in their own right, but it's a very different style of tactility, and I think the V2 tactility is a little bit more polarizing for people. Even though I personally prefer it a lot more than the V1s, I think there are going to be some people that maybe don't like that particular brand of tactility. But they're more used to something a little bit more traditional MX, just more refined, like the Zealeos V1.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think there's going to be a little bit of a market for it at the very least.
Maybe I'll adjust the market and see how it is, like 2019.
Yeah, certainly. Also, kind of a follow up on that question. Though I'm not the biggest fan of them, Alias switches probably have a little bit more tactility than the Silent Browns, at least in my experience. But definitely less than a Xylent. So that could be something to look into if you're looking for like that particular level of tactility.
They're the same stem though.
Are they?
Yeah,
they use
exactly.
different.
Just a recolor.
Is the leaf different at all? Because the Alias samples that I got were actually I noticed more tactility than the Silent Browns they also sent me.
It could come from the spring, how it's coiled as well, right? Because remember I had a batch 6778 where it had a different coil and that brought up tactility.
Yeah.
I can't comment on their leaf because, well, I don't really have any on hand to check. And it's not really my product. Yeah.
Fair enough. NGB is asking, for Zeal, I'm building a silent linear board. Why should I buy Helios instead of MX Silent Blacks?
Have you heard my typing test?
Yeah, I mean,
or lack of. It's pretty quiet once you leave it up. It's pre-modified. You don't really have to do it. If you want to change the spring, go ahead. And wobble reduction is also another thing that we've worked greatly on.
I would say the Helios are probably better than a standard MX Silent in every conceivable way. At least in my experience, because I've used both like fairly extensively now, and yeah, like Helios will have less wobble, they're smoother, they're less mushy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess
yeah.
they're
The softer landing, it's personal preference, right? Yeah.
well, that's true, I guess. Yeah, I didn't like the mushiness of the MX Silent Stem, which is why I've been preferring Helios over MX Silence lately. Just because I don't really care for that mushy bottom out, and the Helios, while still quiet, they feel a little bit more like a natural switch as opposed to like a silent switch, even though they are silent. So I do prefer that. I mean, I guess one benefit of the normal MX Silent is MX Silent's going to be a bit cheaper than a Helios, but during group buy pricing, it's not going to be that dramatic of a difference.
And also, if you need like PCB mount legs, Cherry doesn't really produce. Well, to the best of my knowledge, Cherry doesn't produce a PCB mount RGB switch. So if you need like underglow or that like RGB from underneath, there aren't that many options you could do, and most of them would probably involve tearing apart a switch.
Krellbit says, "Oh wow, I see this comparison a couple times already in the chat. This is silly." He says, "Hey Anthony, glad to see you've reconciled with Top Clack despite your differences. Props for being the bigger man." I guess people think that you and Anthony look very similar.
It's big head, man.
I don't, whatever. I don't know. Millard is asking me, presumably, did I ever decide to pick up Necro, GMK Necro? I have not gotten it yet because I can't afford it, but I am hoping to pick up a set because I actually really like that. Mog Genius asking, Brian, what is the bone marrow dish called? Don't hold back on us. I don't remember what it's called. Ask me again in the Discord later, and I'll try to look up the actual Vietnamese name. Because the place that I went to, they just called it like Bone Bowl or something like that. It was like a very like rough translation.
I'll get the double B.
Yeah, and it was like the best like $6 I've ever spent in my entire life. It was incredible.
Is it one of those like sketchy, hidden in the wall kind of Viet places?
It's kind of a hole in the wall, yeah.
A hole in the wall, okay.
It's kind of a hole in the wall.
I got a question. So
Sure.
at COPC, why are there so few options for buying springs? Please sell springs. Well, have you ever tried separating springs manually, like in bulk? It's
really obnoxious.
Yeah, it's really obnoxious. Like you may think, okay, a bag of 100 takes a while, but imagine having like a bag of I don't know, like
20,000.
Yeah, or something like that. It's pretty hard to do, and for something like that, you'd have to weigh it, and just to make sure that your springs aren't like all tangled up. It's harder to do it without a machine. At the factory level, they have like a special kind of shaker that sort of shakes the springs, and somehow it just untangles itself, and they have that all lined up in like assembly. Yeah,
I need that in my life.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, a few other.
That was yeah. So I'm actually going in order now. We're doing well. So that was a question by Rumai. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Talisman Solutions with the next question says, what does Zeal think about the state of the rather limited offerings in low-profile switches, and does he expect Zeal to produce any product in that space? So, how do you feel about low-profile switches? Is that something you'll ever do?
Maybe, but with low-profile switches, there's like a footprint that you have to comply to, and then requires a new PCB. Stabilizers are also an issue. Keycaps, because of the travel, you can't really use GMK keycaps. So I guess it'll be a slow process, or like USB-C being adapted, but it will eventually. More people expand into it. I know Jack from OLKB, he did that like low profile plank with the keycaps and RGB and all that. Impa Club, they're also doing a low profile keyboard as well, right?
Yeah.
With hex gears.
The hex gears, yeah.
It's just you don't have that many options for keycaps. You're pretty much stuck with the factory ones.
It can certainly make for a pretty cool like OEM product, but it's hard to bring that kind of thing right now into like the custom DIY enthusiast community, because yeah, no keycaps and no keycaps, super limited PCB options. Um,
Switch options are limited.
Switch options are fairly limited. Yep. And it's probably going to be a while before we ever see custom keycaps for that. But definitely a good question though. Faza asks, what would you say are the biggest changes to Zealeos for V2?
Huge tactile bump, no pre-travel. What else?
I mean, the tactility is really
tactility is the main thing,
and stability. I think because you're using new tops for all the V2 stuff too, right? So it's actually, like, I'm using them now. They're ridiculously stable, and there's like no pre-travel at all. When you press, you're already in the tactility. Basically, it's really quite different than what a lot of people are used to, and I'm really interested to see how people actually enjoy these switches. I do think it's going to be kind of polarizing, but I think a lot of people will certainly enjoy them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Teslatron asking, question for Zeal. Will you ever venture into palm switches, or are you leaving that segment to the market of Mike and his cream switches? So we already kind of went over this, but the answer was probably not.
Yeah, probably keeping the transparent housing.
Yeah. All right, Nathan with a really interesting question, actually. Zeal, have you ever considered trying to sponsor esports events? Or teams, I imagine, too.
See, the thing with esports is, don't they have like particular rules where if one sponsor's already signed with that team, they gotta use all their gear?
I'm not really sure. That wouldn't surprise me, though.
And because like I've seen a few like CS:GO or Overwatch, if like Razer's sponsoring one team, they'd have to use all of their keyboards, maybe earbuds even, and then if they have like another sponsor for headphones, they just like put it around their necks.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of that.
Yeah, you've seen that.
I've seen that a lot. Yeah.
And
yeah, I think
I'm not in the market of mass producing keyboards. Maybe in the future, but
yeah, I was about to say, what are you gonna do? Send everyone a Zephyr? Like, come on, that'd be pretty tough. Yeah, I think I mean, if anyone's trying to break into that kind of market space, you kind of have to find like an up and coming team that doesn't have like major sponsors, so that way like, you can get in there and they can actually use your products. But yeah, it'd be hard for you to do it at the moment because, like you said, you don't have any mass produced stuff, and you certainly don't have any like. I guess I'll call it more budget options that you can just freely supply a team with. Apocalypse asking, will there be Helios to try at NorCal?
Yeah, I'll be bringing my purple Zephyr to NorCal, and it's got looped Helios in it. These are pre-production ones, so there are some parts where I'm not too happy about, but you'll get a general feel of it.
Got it. LOL Shecky asking you, which weight of Xylence do you recommend?
If you like the heavy end, 78 is pretty interesting. It's like a really, really rounded, big bump up front. And if you want something sort of like a poppy kind of feel, 62. So it's opposite ends. The 65 and 67 in between, they're very tactile on top, but I think 78 and 62 this round were the most interesting ones.
Okay. Mao Zero to subbed for 14th month in a row. Wow, that's a while. Thanks, man. Very nice. Huey asking, what's the best dim sum dish? Nice.
Best dim sum dish. If you've got a sweet tooth, egg tarts, man.
Egg tarts?
Oh no, I know. I don't know what's called in English. It's just, those like steamed white buns. It's called mantou in Chinese, but they a lot of places they deep fry that and then they dip in condensed milk. It's like a child's favorite snack at every dim sum place.
What? That sounds awesome. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's amazing. It's like crispy on the outside and then depends on place. Some places so they stretch it like noodles, like hand poached noodles, and then they sort of make it into I guess 5-inch sort of fat baguette. So it's got those noodle strands in between, and then they just cut it across. So when you dip into it, you got these like strands of bread that you can sort of just play around with.
Oh my god.
That's the type that I've
I've
had.
never heard of this.
Yeah,
That sounds incredible though.
it is amazing.
Oh man. Do you have those at any places where you're around
Dude,
right now?
everywhere.
Really?
I've,
Oh my
I've,
god.
I've got like probably 10 dim sum places within 2 minutes of driving.
Wow, that's insane. I don't even have a dim sum place in my county. It's unreal,
Yeah,
man.
that's Richmond for you.
Oh man, I can't wait to come up there. Oh man, yeah. Surprising lack of good Chinese food out here. Anyways, moving on. Gadistotle is asking, I was surprised at how much more tactile the 78 gram round 1 Zealeos, I think he means V1, actually felt after the springs were changed. Could you comment on how you went about changing the spring design with that in mind? So the round 8 changes.
Well, spring preload is pretty much the secret to making a switch more tactile. It's got more preload, it's got more upwards force. It wants to remain, I guess, upwards, right? So if you've got a wider coil, it makes the spring stiffer. But if you sort of like work out the length of the spring, you can get it to the weight you want when it bottoms out. So a wider coiled spring will always be a wider and I guess longer coiled spring would always be more tactile or have more tactile feedback than an equivalent 78 gram or whatever weight spring that's shorter.
Did you have to do a lot of testing for the V2 to get the spring right?
V2?
Yeah. To get
No,
that particular style of tactility?
Not quite, because the stem and the leaf does most of the tactility, not really the spring.
Yeah. Alright. Cyber Sam, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, my dude. Alright. Winter asking, Zeal, do you like artisans?
I do join raffles if there are some. I don't go out of my way to trade. I've never traded an artisan, actually. I've never really bought an artisan, like aftermarket or on Mac Market, etc. I just, if I join, if I win a raffle, I buy it, and then it goes into my collection, pretty much.
Nice. Tequila Shots asking, is Xylence V2 more silent than the Helios?
You're comparing a tactile against a linear.
Yeah, in terms of silence,
Yeah.
at least, not in terms
Why?
of anything else.
In terms of silence, you're always you're always gonna have a louder switch when it's tactile, because of the the leaf and the friction on the stem. So the answer would be no, it's not quieter than Helios.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. Teslatron asking, will there ever be any clicky Zeal switches? You could call them Zickies. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That's awful, dude. That's so bad.
No. just because of that, canceled.
Cancelled. Done. Yeah, we kind of addressed that earlier as well. Jay Chef, thank you for the 100-bit donation, man. Beadlocks asking, Henry, what weight do you tend to use the most?
I like 65. I'm a fairly light typist. When I did the typing demo video with Helios, I got pretty polarizing feedback. They were saying I don't type normally. So 67 for me is actually just a bit too heavy for my daily driver. Like, it took me a while to get used to 67 when I was building my Zephyrs, because I built 67 Silence in it too. My personal weight preference is 65 grams.
Gotcha. NGB asking, why did you decide to put the bump so high on the Sealeo V2?
I wouldn't say it's super high, because if you do too high of a bump, then you lose the bump, if you know what I mean. So basically, yeah, if you have the bump too high up, then you're not experiencing the full bump. You're just like halfway. You're on the downwards part of the bump. So I guess in a way it's not at the highest point, but I understand what he means by why'd you want it to have like at the bump where the tactility is. It's just again something I wanted to experiment with, something that I guess no one really has done, right, on the market. So I figured why not, and I gave it a try. I liked the feel and made it a thing.
Nice. All right, we are fully caught up on questions. All right, that took a while. Sorry, guys, but hopefully you guys got some good answers there. Talisman Solutions, thank you for the 100-bit donation, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, I guess with no more questions, now it's probably a good time to start heading out. So, Zeal, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Hopefully people learned some things from you.
Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, see you guys at NorCal if you're going. Yes. And find me for some stickers and, you know, pre-release switches.
Heck yeah. All of you people going to NorCal, make sure you find Zeal. Try the Helios, try the Zealeos, try the Xylants. That way you can get a feel for them before anyone else. That's always good.
Rev 4 PCP will also be there. Zeal 60 as well.
Heck yeah. Alright, so thank you all very much for watching. Hope you guys had a good time. I will, of course, be back next week, same time, same place, 6 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. If you guys want to check out our YouTube content, we have a link below the stream there. You can get to sub in on that. And, of course, if you want to join our official Discord, you want to talk to me, you want to talk to other people, you want to play some video games or something, bam, a Discord link down there below. Maybe, you know, Zeal can honor us with his presence in Overwatch as the worst player of all time. And
what are you talking about?
Anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time.